Mr. Bhatnagar works closely with the council management team, affiliate members, payment brands, regulators, merchants, service providers, and key influencers and decision makers from the payment card industry. Mr. Bhatnagar's stint with the India Payment Security from CISA Information Security has equipped him with an unique knowledge of the PCI security standards and powerful impact they can have in the securing the sensitive data. Mr. Nitin is an engineer with the certifications in Cyber Lab, besides several quality and security risk related certifications. His earlier responsibilities include a stint as Associate Vice President and Cyber Security Leader in CISA Information Security. Mr. Nitin, I welcome you for this session. Nice to have you here. Let me move ahead. Very happy to introduce Mr. Rajiv Panikar, Business Head, ICT India and Middle East, DNV. Rajiv Panikar has extensive industry experience, having worked as a manager in IT in a leading bank in India before joining DNV as a lead auditor and a trainer. He has been holding progressively senior positions during the last 14 years and is presently the business head, ICT, supply chain, and product assurance. Many of the industry leaders, IT will be knowing Rajiv by name for his kind of involvement in different areas, because I closely worked with Rajiv for almost 5 years in the different capacities, in training, in management consulting, in management audits and whatnot. Great to have you, Mr. Rajiv, here. Thank you.
Thanks, Ramesh.
Let me introduce next Mr. Panish Hangal, Lead Governance and Privacy, L&T Smart World and Communications, Bangalore. Panish is a cybersecurity professional with over 20 years of intense experience in the industry. He is a qualified lead auditor for information security management systems, has audited over 250 companies in India and overseas for IT GRC compliance. Panish is currently serving on the committee of Indian American Chamber of Commerce and is currently on the South India Council Committee and chairs the Cybersecurity Forum. Mr. Panish, once again, welcome on board and thank you very much. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, sir, for the introduction, Ramesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me introduce Mr. Adupu Bondaya, Client Manager and QSA PCI DSS at DSI Group India Private Limited, Mumbai. Has extensive experience in the banking industry, having worked in Canara Bank, Global Trust Bank, Oriental Bank of Commerce and ICICI Bank. Specialized in IT operations, banking application development, data center management, etc. Mr. Adupu is also an ISMS auditor with specialization in ISO 27001, SOX, PCI DSS, etc. Great to have you here, Mr. Adupu.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you very much for joining. The last eminent personality who is joined today with us, Mr. Rajesh Zaveri, Technical Manager, IS Bureau Veritas, Mumbai. Rajesh comes with 26 plus years of IT and telecom experience in customer support, technical support, internet data center, software development, product development, audits, information security, IT project management, software testing, IT training, and etc. He is specialized in information security audits, IT service management, software compliance audit, IT project implementations, and SCI standards. Welcome you here, Mr. Rajesh. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much, Ramesh, for introduction.
Yeah, thank you. Now,
Nitin Bhatnagar is there.
I started with Nitin, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I started with Nitin, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Quite interestingly, the panel, the discussions is going to be on compliance frameworks for ISMS, PIMS, DPMS, PDP, CMS, and different kind of multiple laws as we just discussed while introducing the PDPSI. And as we heard that each member comes with kind of different background, from smart city implementation to PCI DSS to ISO implementation to management system to etc. Banking sector. We have a very high eminent personalities. I'm sure that this discussion is going to be fruitful to all of us. Let me start with probably Mr. Panish. And quite interestingly, in the last session, before the keynote, we had where Mr. Navi moderated, the discussion was on issues, challenges, constraints related to healthcare and IoT related data. Beautiful. I think here we are moving to another sector, another domain, in my opinion, banking, smart city, data card industry, and obviously how these kind of management systems is going to help you and me. So let me start with, I'm really, excited to start the question for Mr. Panish. How in the smart city related environment, the projects, how the privacy requirements are getting handled, sir? Will you be able to please?
Yes, Ramesh. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very much. Thank you.
Okay. So just coming to how currently what are the compliance requirements for smart cities. One is this ISO 27001 is one of the mandatory requirements in RFP for smart cities. And since it is a mandatory requirement, all the certifications, it would cover command and control center, various applications that is hosted in the data center, etc. So this is more on the information part, but the smart city has lot of PIIs and sensitive PIIs as well. Okay, it houses lot of PII and sensitive PII, and in some cities there are international residents as well, and we have to comply with the data protection regulation of these countries. Okay, so this task of managing the PII data that is there in the smart city ecosystem is quite challenging if you look at the complexities. And we also have various big data, AI, ML that is being carried out on various applications that are used in smart city applications. So here also there is lot of data privacy concerns that is there. And in smart cities, one is we have the CCTV images, CCTV video images, and we need to secure these CCTV video images for the usual confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That is, unauthorized disclosure of this should not happen, be it to any media or any other kind of examples, or unauthorized modification of this should not happen, or corruption of this data, that is making this data non-available, that should not happen. So these are some of the privacy related issues. And with respect to, there is financial database, there is hospital database, health database of citizens, which are there in smart cities. So there is lot of sensitive PII that is there. And currently for the certification, as I mentioned, as part of RFP requirement, there is only ISO 27001. There is no other compliance requirement that is there. So for us to implement a robust system to meet the smart city compliance requirements, we need a simple solution that would address the people, process, and technology aspects of data privacy. So with this, I would stop. I hope I have
Excellent
covered
point.
the point. Yeah,
Great, sir. Understand that at this point of time that you also handle the international data, right? Obviously, you need to adhere to multiple laws and regulations. Beautiful.
Yes. Thank you.
So this is where that what we are discussing, I'm sure that compliance is going to be really helpful, right? Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes,
and I would like to move with the same question probably to Mr. Nitin. Nitin, from the data, right, which you are handling, the payment card data, I'm sure that the same kind of issues, right? What kind of privacy challenges are the requirements you have at this point of time, sir?
When we look at the payment data, I think we all have to understand that digital payment sector is constantly evolving, and we are trying to adapt to the new technologies. Now, the future of the digital payment ecosystem is very promising, and I think, but the growth of the digital payments must always correspond with an increased focus on security. So that's very, very important, and that's where at PCI SSC, our goal is to help synchronize these efforts. And the most recent, anticipated and much anticipated development that we have been doing from last couple of years is on developing the PCI standards, evolving the PCI standards to which probably you all of us know that we have version 3.2.1. Now it is getting advanced to version 4.0. Now that is going to aim to ensure that the security standards continue to meet the security needs of the payment industry, one, and add flexibility and also support for additional methodologies to achieve security and promote security as a continuous process and enhance the validation methods and procedures. I think that's what we have been discussing, how we should make sure the compliance are accomplished with a bare minimum standards and having a continuous process there to promote security, as a continuous process. Now, speaking about specifically about the country of India, I believe that the ability here to securely use the latest payment technologies will be a key aspect in the road ahead of the payment data security in the country. And this definitely can be moved forward with the help of the DSS 4.0 that is going to be released early next year, which is evolving to bring the greater flexibility to support organizations using a broad range of controls and methods to meet the security objectives. Right. So as an organization, I know that, as an organization at PCI SSC, I think our role is to constantly evolve to improve the payment data security by developing standards and supporting these services that drive education, awareness, and effective implementation of these standards by the stakeholders. So I think that's what I have to add on, Ramesh.
Excellent. The bottom line, what I understand is that validation process, obviously, and continual improvement over the security postures.
Yeah.
Right. As you correctly said, that's what is coming out even in our discussions, right? Security, when we perform a risk assessment, let's say, it's going to be at that point of time on that particular context, right?
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And as you and me know that both the things are, dynamic, right? See, that's why we also look at the risk management process per se, that what is the frequency in which we perform the risk assessment, right? Great.
Exactly. And I think one of the area that the PCI standards that you're going to see next year is going to be on the, it's not going to be point in time, but it's going to be more dynamic, as you rightly said. And it has a major change to the overall standard that you see today. So the PCI DSS version 4.0 is an overall change, though the basics and the objectives of the requirements remain the same, the 12 requirements, but the change that you're going to see is going to be massive. This is just for the heads up for the industry who have been adopting to the PCI standards. Now these changes may vary from the password policies to the authentication process and so on. So there's going to be a drastic change that you see on the DSS 4.0, and this standard has been developed keeping in consideration future new payment technologies that are going to be evolving.
Beautiful. Great to hear. Thank you very much, Nitin sir. I would like to move ahead with Mr. Adupu. Adupu sir, because we are discussing now smart city we talked about, and we talked about here with Mr. Nitin on payment card data. Now, from the banking perspective, can you please throw some light on how the consent management mechanism is handled basically on the basis of DIPA? What are the challenges these financial sectors are going to encounter or they are encountering at this point? Yeah. Mr. Adupu? I think he's not there. All right. Let me move ahead with Mr. Rajiv then. Rajiv, sir.
Yeah, I think Ramesh, Mr. Adupu is talking actually. He's on mute.
Ramesh, I unmute myself.
Yeah, please unmute.
Please go ahead. You got the question, right?
I got it.
Please go ahead, sir.
Now, the new framework which has been developed and announced by Niti Aayog of Government of India called DEPA, Data Empowerment and Production Architecture, is going to bring a new layer of management system for the public in general, what is called consent management system. This is based on the current bill, which has given a new concept for the people to have a concerned manager. Now the RBI, being a well matured and regulated finance sector, RBI issued a master directive on how to go about this account aggregator concept. So with this, on this, Minister of Finance, RBI, SEBI, IRDA, and Pension Fund Regulatory Authority all worked on this, and they stand up and published for the people in general to go through and give their opinion. Now, as a part of that, RBI also now started enlisting the 8 entities as a account aggregators. But the system has not been made available to public at the moment. And from the business banking point of view and finance sector point of view, NBFCs, mutual funds, insurance sector, this particular DEPA framework is going to supplement the upcoming PDPA as a law. That is the whole idea of Niti Aayog announcing this framework. And this right now is in a development and almost ready to test stage, where a umbrella organization has been already formed called Sahamati, where all the account aggregators, service providers of technology, and certifiers are becoming a part of this umbrella organization called Sahamati. This is going to bring a new paradigm shift in concern management. And main challenge, what I feel is, in Indian perspective, people have to get awareness about how to use this particular concept of concern management when they avail the services from the finance sector.
Right.
Particularly in India, we have in banking, on my last 35 years of experience, we have different languages. Illiteracy in the rural areas is one more challenge where banking. Right now, banks have outlets at various places. So that's why still banking, even though technology has supported a large extent of the transactions growth and banking inroads in the public life, still, because that is all happening in the finance sector, because the outlets available to the public to approach and take the services. But when we do not have an outlet where people can walk in and seek the assistance of the people by face to face, that is a big challenge going to be there in this particular concept of implementing the account concern management for the finance sector. That is one challenge I see. And then when I see the other side, over the period of 30, 40 years, how technology transformed the banking. And definitely the new technologies, which fintechs are coming in with the new innovative ideas that is going to supplement the way the mobile phones and other gadgets are being used by the public. But
Right.
as we all know that we have already, with any system, we are going to have the problems as we have the currently with the banking or online banking. Here also we are going to face challenges that will come over a period of time by innovation and rediscovering the solutions.
Excellent, excellent. Great coverage by Adupu sir, because this seems to be a kind of new emerging, right? And that what you covered makes sense to understand at this point of time. Let me move ahead with Mr. Rajesh. Rajesh, I just wanted to understand from you with the kind of you having a multiple experience on different management systems, 27001 to 27701. How currently the industry is coping up with these privacy requirements, number one. Number two, by implementation of this 27701, the PIMS, is it adequately covering the aspects of the privacy apart from GDPR? Just wanted to hear your thoughts and how the organizations are really going with the privacy. Yeah.
So Ramesh, thank you very much. You have multiple questions.
Yeah.
Number one is how the industry is currently coping with the privacy. And as we all know that in the COVID, the biggest opportunity which is given to the IT company, that because of the leverage of the infrastructure, they can able to sustain. I remember in auditing, in many of the development and IT enabled companies, they were having the practices of having the established things in terms of business continuity. So for them, there was no much challenges that, people were, how they were taking care in terms of moving from in premises to the various locations or their individuals' residence. But the problem which happened that the companies were finding that how the data will be secured. Last year in the COVID time, we came across that many of the companies were facing a problem that when the individuals were there in the company premises, they were be having a surveillance by CCTV. There were many controls were there, but their controls were compromised with respect to the business need. Like I was discussing with them, somebody in the last year, we said that we were having the Odyssey type of framework, but when the need came, customer also was accepted and people used to work from their own residence. And that time the screen was open to them and they can able to take a photo from their smartphone. So these challenges are there, and today we have a solutions available so that we can able to know when they are having the online camera and they cannot take any photograph because it will be coming on the screen. So these challenges are there specific to the companies who are working with the sensitive data. Second questions you ask about how the implementation and the covering of privacy with respect to 27701 with the GDPR. Now we all know about it that this is the framework which has come extension of 277-27001. And the standard has been framed in such a way that it can accommodate any framework requirement. And that's why it has given the additional control. If somebody is controller playing a role, they can able to implement certain controls. If they are having the role of processor, they can implement those controls. And third thing, they have given the mapping. So currently GDPR being most popular and accepted, they have done the mapping of it. But I am working in the certification body, and unfortunately I cannot name the client because of the Confidentiality Act. I have seen, in fact, we have audited company who has gone ahead of GDPR and they have implemented various privacy law, and they have implemented, and these standards have really benefited to them. So in terms of implementation, yes, industries have taken the advantage of this framework and they are able to demonstrate to the yes, these are giving the conformance to the requirement. And third thing is that how the organizations are taking tremendous benefits are there. Last 1 year things are getting improved. People are going for formal certification, and very soon I am in fact accreditation bodies also started. In fact, in our India also we are having a national accreditation board, NABCB, who has given the accreditation, and apart from other international accreditation, we are having our own accreditation also. So I think this is the next 4 to 5 years we are having very good tremendous business opportunity for this ISO 27701 certification.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. I will just go ahead with Mr. Rajiv. Rajiv, with the kind of experiences across you have seen multiple organizations on multiple domains, right? What really you feel today, even right, with the kind of mature systems, in fact, even what probably still they are lacking, what problem or what risks related to privacy, and how they are really coping up and trying to really come up with your kind of experience across. Yeah, sorry.
Thanks, Ramesh. Actually, see, my view is, see, now we have the standards, we have the regulations and other things, and we need to keep these two things apart. I mean, these are two different things. That is what first we should understand. Because for any, again, there is another question whether they are compliant to a particular standard or compliant to a regulation. And if we comply to a particular regulation, that doesn't mean that we will comply to standard, and vice versa, because the perspective are different here. When it comes to a regulation, for example, GDPR or PDPA or our India Privacy Act, which is going to be there, see, this all we are looking from a citizen angle. because we are trying to protect the PI of the person or individuals here. So we need to always see it from an angle, from a citizen angle, and it is mandatory that whether the organization like it or not, it is mandatory that they have to comply to these regulations. There is no escape from it. Okay, but when it comes to a standard, it is optional. Be it 27701 or be it 2900 standards, or be it NIST standards, or be it India data security framework, whatever it is optional to them. Maybe, okay, PCI DSS, there is some requirement actually, if they are into in that particular area, okay, they have to comply to those things. Otherwise, these other standard or complaints to those standards are not mandatory. Okay, and again, now, as Rajesh said, we have a 27701. It is a beautifully designed standard. It is an extension to 27,000. But at the end of the day, how it is going to help the organization? Okay, or what kind of organizations are going to implement this one? So that is the question. And is it mandatory? Again, I'm repeating, it is this standard is, our compliance to this standard is not mandatory. And if you just to get a certificate for 27701, then that doesn't mean that you are compliant to GDPR or PDPA or whatever it is. So always our approach should be, we need to see it for the purpose. Okay, what is the purpose? I mean, are you to purpose is to meet the compliance to regulations?
Yeah.
Or is it the purpose to the, okay, maybe we can use some of the frameworks and we can use that thing in order to meet both the approaches. So here I could see actually our PDPSA, it is a convergence of both. So that's where actually the PDPSA really helps, I feel, my personal feeling is it is going to help the organizations in a very big way. And coming to the second question, which you asked, actually, what are the challenges, especially we face? I mean, again, with respect to compliance. So I'm just now, for sake of my this thing, I'm both the regulations and standards as the same approach. Now, for every organizations, they may be good in ensuring the compliance, because I mean, they know how the data is, where exactly it is going to manage it. So everything they know, and the complaints will be easy for them, but they're not such their suppliers. And when it comes to the supply chain, the question is, what is the supply chain visibility? I mean, the privacy visibility in a supply chain. And many organizations, okay, this visibility is limited to maybe their immediate supplier, but not to the next level. I mean, the subcontractors or to the subcontractors.
Rajiv, we are.
There's a gap.
18 hours.
Rajiv, I think. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now, please, Rajiv. Yeah, we lost you for a minute or so. Yeah.
Okay.
You can stop your video
sorry.
if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably you may switch off the video.
So what I'm trying to, yes,
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Again, problem, I think. So I think.
Raji has some technical problem.
I think so. Okay. Probably I will come back to him. So maybe I will.
I mean, sub-suppliers or sub.
Rajiv, we have a problem in.
He muted himself. Unmute now.
Okay. Okay. I will. Now I will probably.
Rajiv, yeah, Rajiv can log out and log in later. I think you can move to one more person.
Yeah. Mr. Panish, we talked about the kind of problems, right, with respect to smart city.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will you be able to little bit throw, you said it beautifully that 27001 is the kind of base controls. Beyond that, are you also looking at any other framework to really enhance the privacy related controls, right? To take
Okay.
care of this kind of international data of their, people living there and so on.
Yes. On this, Ramesh, like
Yes, sir.
as of now, for
Yeah.
some of the smart city work that is going on, there is no formal requirement of data privacy certification. What the focus is more on implementation of data privacy controls. That is various technologies that are required to ensure that the data privacy requirements are met. So what we would be interested to look for is simple certification that would verify the effectiveness of the implementation of data privacy controls. So in this regard, PDPSI, what we learned is it is more, it can demonstrate practically how effective these controls are met. That could be one of the solutions. In addition to it, this ISO 27701 personal information management system, that is an extension of ISO 27001. So since some of the smart city projects have been already certified for 27001, we can look at this as an add-on certification as well. But the more emphasis is from the management perspective. We would be more, or the management would more be interested in how effective the implementation of security controls are there, so that any data privacy related incidents do not happen. That would be the focus. Okay. And
Yeah.
for some of the, if these data privacy certifications would be mandated in the RFPs going forward, at that point of time, PDPSI and or this 27701, these are the two certifications. These are the two add-on certifications that we would be looking at for certification.
Excellent. As a further enhancement of your controls, whatever you have at this point of time with the 27001 in place, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, makes sense.
That's right.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thanks.
Moving on to Mr. Adupu.
Yeah.
Now, can you please throw some insights to us that how this
Ramesh
I think Ramesh
got disconnected, sir.
moved out. Okay. Adepu, did you get the question?
No, sir. He was about to speak. Yes, connect back.
Okay. Yeah, I think Rajiv has come back. So Rajiv can continue from where he left off before Ramesh is joining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ramesh, back.
Yeah. Adupu sir, Rajiv, I'll come back to you, Rajiv, please. 2
Okay,
minutes.
no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Adupu sir, did you get my question by the time or I was out?
No, you are disconnected, Ramesh.
Hello?
You have to
Ramesh,
repeat your
please
question
repeat.
again, Ramesh.
Ramesh, please repeat.
Hello?
Ramesh, we are able to hear you.
Yeah, we are able to hear you. Please repeat, Ramesh.
Able to hear me now?
Yeah, we are able to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, really. Something, never
Okay.
it had happened.
Your question was not.
So Adupu sir, did you get my question or you want me to repeat to you?
Please repeat.
Please repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, Adupu sir, how this, what we talked about, the DIPA framework, how it's going to support the upcoming Personal Data Protection Act, our Indian Act? What is the kind of similarities, how smooth it's going to be working together, what kind of interactions and so on?
Yes, Ramesh, this framework is well defined at the moment. And RBI Master Direction is giving complete overview how to implement it. And the Reserve Bank Institute of Technology, RBIT, they are developing the technical standards based on the finance sector for the current stage of implementation in the finance sector. So when I look at the overall picture as on today, it is going to be a smooth sailing because of the technical advancements what we have in the field of banking as well as payment systems. So the only challenge which institution may feel is educating the end users. So when we use this framework, DEPA, the consent management framework, which is going to be technically available for the people through mobile phones and internet, what the information they have to give, to whom to give a consent. And we have in our PDPA, there is a requirement to a data principal can withdraw consent anytime. So not only just giving the consent, when you want to withdraw, how to withdraw, that mechanism is to be developed. Currently, in DEPA, I cannot see the withdrawal part how to be handled. So over a period of time, that will come up definitely, I am sure, because Indian technical strength is one of the driving force for this entire infrastructure. And Niti Aayog, to supplement the upcoming PDPA in the Indian Parliament, this has been started as initiative, and being the first implementation in the finance sector, that is going to give the direction to other sectors like medical and telecom also. So because now the population, if you see, everybody using finance sector. So some of the people may not be affected to the medical health sector, but everybody in the finance sector. So the success of the learnings from the finance sector will going to definitely help to implement the consent management system in other sectors as well.
Great, great. So you don't see any kind of big challenge at this stage, right, with these two coming up together?
The challenge is one thing, Ramesh, to know
Right.
how to educate the end users.
Right.
Because
Very
of
good.
language, and now as you see in the banking sector, we have evaluated the various consent mechanisms because we have outlet as the people. We can face a person and inform him. For example, if you know Indian, we have the different type of people, blind persons, how to take consent. There is a very established in the banking. How to take consent from a dumb person, we have a mechanism in the banking.
Right.
We have, particularly in India, the ladies, Muslim ladies who follow the Parda system, how to get a consent from the banking actions. There is a system in this. So these type of people-oriented systems has to be developed in the consent management. Then only this mechanism will success to go ahead in the times to come.
Great, great. Makes sense. I understand. Mr. Nitin sir, coming back to you, as we talked about earlier, now, what is the industry sentiment, when it comes to the acceptance and adoption of these PCI standards, right? Especially we talked about continually it is coming up, improving new versions and so on. Can you please give some insight?
So I think, we are already seeing, Ramesh, some
Yes,
great steps being taken to address some of the most important issues in the payment security in India. And I think industry collaboration, both domestically and globally, continues to be hugely important to help tackle the growing threat of cybercrime or the issues that we are facing globally. It's just not India, we are facing these challenges globally, right? So, I think PCI SSC has been in the forefront in terms of creating those lot of educational content for the industry for the implementation of these standards. But however, the latest standards alone are not enough. So we all have to agree to the fact that we also need to bridge the gap of the skilled payment security professionals in the country to ensure the latest standards are being properly implemented. So implementation, whatever standard that we follow, the implementation plays a very, very crucial role. And in addition to that, I think this is what the industry sentiment has been. I think acceptance and adoption of the PCI standards have been great. And I think with recent regulations and the references of these standards by RBI has been a great initiative in terms of in the direction where they have been requesting the regulated entities in the country to adopt to these standards and secure the payment data. Interestingly, I just wanted to add one more point is that PCI also has done a mapping of PCI DSS version 3.2.1 to the NIST cybersecurity framework. And I think this particular mapping, helps you identify the opportunities for control efficiencies and greater alignment between organizational security objectives. For example, the mapping can help you identify where the implementation of a particular security control can support both a PCI DSS requirements and a NIST cybersecurity framework outcome. So additionally, an entity's internal evaluations to determine the effectiveness of the implemented controls may help the entity prepare for a PCI DSS or NIST framework as framework assessments or both. So this is where we are, Mr. Ramesh, with respect to the sentiments and how we are working together to secure the payment data.
Excellent, Nitin sir. Great insights. Thank you very much, really. I understand. Moving on with our Mr. Rajesh Zaveri, just wanted to hear from you your experience or the challenges related to. We understand from the information security perspective, yes, there is a CISO, there are multiple DSOs could be there, the governance mechanism and so on. Now, if I move it to privacy, what kind of governance structure and how again that privacy organization is going to interact with the security organization? In every forum it is coming out, in every discussion, CISO is going to report to DPO or vice versa, or how are they going to work? What's your thoughts on it, sir, please?
Ramesh,
Yeah.
Basically, in many of the current environment, mid-size organizations, the CISO itself are, developing their skills, to get themselves, competent on, privacy-related framework.
Yeah.
Plus, there are, legal people who are just coming and, who is, supporting, security team in terms of making them aware about, privacy regulations on the global level. But there are, bigger organizations, they themselves are making as a separate, governance team who themselves report to the board so that, those privacy related challenges can be looked at it with respect to the risk. Why it has happened? Because of the penalty, because all the global companies, when they try to see, apart from their clients' requirement, they are more aware about their penalty plus their name in the market. And specific to the Indian company, of course, you have seen most IT enabled companies, you may not have come across, those type of, privacy breach and all. But yes, so those strong governance frameworks reporting to the board or the senior management are sustainable things along with their security team. So they both work together. So this is the things we have observed last, couple of months.
Excellent. Great, Rajesh sir. Thank you very much. Rajiv, last time when we were discussing, I know we were a little bit not in sync. Can you kindly, you are talking about, the supply security chain.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I was talking about the lack of privacy visibility in a supply chain. Okay, so that is one of the biggest risks most of the organizations are facing. And this actually gives us an opportunity as well as a risk in the coming days. Why I'm saying this reason is, now, whatever my supplier does, I am responsible to the public, to my stakeholders. I am responsible for it. Okay, nowadays we have ESG score, ESG, environment, social and governance scores are there. Previously, the privacy was not considered as a factor in ESG scores. Now, what is happening is last 5 years, there is a tendency, and they have even added privacy or reporting the privacy breaches as one of the key parameters in the ESG score. And personally, what happened is many of the organizations I know, they have a low score in ESG these days, last 2 years, because they have underreported the privacy breaches or the cybersecurity breaches. And most of these breaches, actually, it is not with them. It actually happened in their supply chain. Okay. And why it happened is because it is underreported. And why it was underreported? Because they didn't know what happened in their supply chain. That communication was so weak, so they are not able to collect this information from their supply chain. So that's what actually I completely agree with what Nitin said. The current standards are not adequate to address all the privacy challenges.
Right.
Now, when we don't have that visibility, it will affect many other things. See, when it affects the ESG score, that means the investment and it is going to all other things. Because if I want to invest in a company, definitely nowadays I will see what is the ESG score for that.
Right.
So if the ESG score is low, then definitely I'm not going to invest in that thing. Okay, and similarly, when they try to identify the controls for be it information security or be it cyber security or be it privacy, it's all based on the what are the risks they identified. And many of the organizations, they have not even identified what are the risks in their supply chain, privacy risk in the supply chain, because they don't have that visibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And without these things, they will not. And again, another very funny thing is, many cases, the suppliers are bigger than the organizations.
Right.
So when the suppliers are bigger than the organizations, I mean, definitely they're not going to get any information. If I asked, Microsoft, okay, I am using your cloud services, can you give me your privacy report? It is very difficult to get it. Okay, it is available in some of the public platforms, but otherwise it is very difficult to get those things.
What we call them big fishes.
Yes. So how we are going to help these type of companies?
Yeah.
So here comes actually the maturity of the privacy. See, now it's all depends on our expectation also to what level the organization is matured.
Right.
Now, are they matured to meet a regulation or are they matured to meet a standard, particular standard?
Correct.
Okay. So at the end of the day, it's all about the business. When there is a requirement from the customer, okay, they will look for a standard. When there is a requirement from the government, they will look for a regulation. So this is where we need to address it.
Raju, quite interesting. Now, with the kind of challenges what you talked about, what Nitin talked about, are we looking at any new framework or new standard per se, which could be an add-on to help this kind of fix these kind of issues?
I feel, for the existing standard development bodies, it is very difficult for them to have a specific industry coming out with the industry specific standard, because they have to make it generic, because then only they will get that acceptance across countries.
Right.
So this is where actually the organization like FDPPI, where we can contribute.
Excellent.
Okay. Because we can come out with a PDPSI standard, we came out, and this standard is, as I said, it's a convergence of both the standards and regulations. Okay. So when the people try to adopt such standards, definitely they will bring more value to them.
Thank you very much. And on a lighter side, this is what I wanted to really hear. That's why I put this question this way. Yeah. What we are trying to I'm trying to conclude that maybe I'm a little bit excited with the kind of PDPSI as a unique framework, which could be the answer for all these solutions, right? I had worked with Mr. Navi on that, all the 50 implemented specifications. I would always say each, and I think he had coined the entire framework or that idea conceptualized keeping all the industry problems. Okay. That's why I am really happy to hear that you also heavily worked on PDPSI. So we can think about.
Yeah, PDPSA, it will, again, the coming days, actually, like many of our past discussions in the last 3 days, we are talking about the IoT, IIoT, AI and other things. Now, see, now for all the coming privacy breaches will be enabled through AI. Okay. Yeah. So now we have to have an AI enabled standard to fight AI enabled breaches.
Right.
So when we can, bring PDPSA to that level, then we can say that it will be a real success for the entire world.
Absolutely. Believe me, knowing Mr. Navi, again on the lighter side, there will be a new update to that PDPSI very soon. Point taken, because as you correctly mentioned in the last 2.5 days, I'm keenly listening to all that. Again and again, the same problem, even with the kind of, I'm not trying to compare again, I'm not trying to pass any kind of judgment over here, but I think Dr. Triveni yesterday, right? Rajiv, we were there, where he mentioned about 27,001 certification and its implementation effectiveness, right? We are also aware of, as a consultant or as a co-auditor, as a management system auditor, what's happening, right? I think the need of the hour, what you summarized in your discussion, what I could gather is that obviously we need to think about a solution which is really going to solve the industry problems of all these kind. Yeah, could be when I was listening about high trust for HIPAA and other framework standards in US, why not FDPPI's PDPSI is what we need to really question ourselves and position accordingly going forward. Thank you very much, Rajiv. Thanks for your insight onto it. And Navi sir, I would like to take the privilege of putting few questions to you if it's fine with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And you being the author of the PDPSI, I'm really interested, even though I'm aware of, but I wanted for the general public consumption, what is the intent which had gone in your mind when you were conceiving the idea of PDPSI? What really went on?
See, one of the prime, you can say, intention of designing this was that SMEs, MSMEs, who may not be able to implement a very large framework like ISO 27001 with 2 and then with 27701, I felt that they need some hand-holding. And that was the reason why we wanted to have this particular standard as a combination of what Mr. Rajiv said as a standard regulations. Of course, it is meant for regulations because we have called it as a PDP CMS related compliance. But the law or regulation has in its background the information security. Of course, we are looking at here as security of personal information, whereas ISO earlier was handling the security of the entire information, personal and non-personal. Here we are trying to focus on personal information, and we are trying to have one standard for both technical and regulatory or privacy related controls. That is one. Second, when an Indian company wants to do global business, they are simultaneously exposed to multiple data protection laws. Yeah. We don't want them to worry about one framework for GDPR, another framework for CCPA, another framework for some other state in USA. This becomes little confusing from the CEO's perspective. Say, IS people may learn something about it, and deep, say, compliance people will all learn. But ultimately, companies are managed by the business owners and the CEOs who are business oriented. We should not complicate their work to such an extent that they will feel, oh, all this is just too complicated. We will see what happens if something comes up, then we will take the insurance or something like that. If compliance becomes too complicated, I feel that voluntary compliance will not be there. You will go for, say, some kind of, say, managing the situation. That should not happen. Of course, GDPR tries to avoid this by having astronomical level of fines, like what we have seen in the case of Amazon. That is another extreme. See, ultimately, even the penalties should be deterrent. We cannot kill the company. Say, an Indian company, for them, say, 100 crores fine, not all companies can take 100 crores out of their net profit and then continue to be in a healthy business next year. So the penalties cannot be astronomically high as a deterrence. Therefore, we need to make compliance as simple as possible. And that was one of the reasons. That's why we made the whole number of controls as 50. Whereas I heard in one of the recent things about 300 controls are there in one of the IS standards. Then only experts can be there, and research people, R&D has to be done on a framework. Right. Not get into it. So my main purpose was SMEs and others should be compliant. Now, if they have to be compliant, we need to make it a little easier for them. It is not that we are only designing this for a 100 crore company or 200 crore company. What about a 5 crore company? Turnover itself is 5 crores or 10 crores. Now, the personal data is as important there as anywhere else. We know that a password used in one small company, the same password is used in another platform by the user. So loss of password in one platform will compromise in every other platform. So this is how the situation is there. So we need to bring down compliance to the level which it is affordable. And that was the main thing. Rest of it, we have looked at all these compliance frameworks and tried to get the best out of it. That's why we call it as essence of the essentials. But as you know, we have added a few extra things like this valuation, distributed responsibility kind of a thing, which are novelties. And novelties, because of our say consideration that it will help.
Right.
Okay. In fact, distributed responsibility will help the DPOs. See, I don't see how one DPO sitting in Bangalore can control 100 setups across the globe. It will not happen. So
Right.
this person will be sitting here and sending emails, but controls will not be with him. So we need to have distributed responsibility. So like that, we have a couple of innovative changes. That's why we call it as essential of the essentials, but different by far. I hope that will help in the Indian segment adopting it. And DTS.
Yes.
So no, DTS was not there in 27701 or any other these things. But if you are trying to be compliant to Indian law, without DTS, you are still falling short
Right.
of the final 10% of the compliance or something
Correct.
like that.
Correct.
Yes.
So we had to design something on the DTS. So we integrated the DTS with the PDPSI. We have something now. Of course, the industry has to still accept it, and we also have to get it accepted by major, say, audit companies and others. But I think we have a base system, just as DNV has come forward to say FDPPI and DNV DTS system. I think others also will sooner or later understand that
Sure.
here is something which has to be looked at.
Great, sir. I think I had multiple questions,
Mm.
but here itself you have addressed all the clarifications what I had. Thank you very much, really. Makes sense. That's what we are talking about it now. A unique framework, which probably could be the need of the hour, right? And we all can apply our mind and see that how successful. Great. And now we are going to close the session. So very quickly, I will like a rapid question. Mr. Adupu, what's your closing remark, please?
Ramesh, with regard to what Navi sir told is, our PDPSI will be a comfort, the compliance with comfort. That is the core idea of PDPSI developing.
Right.
And as you know, this development has taken place keeping with the current bill.
Yeah.
Which is going to meet almost all the requirements of the upcoming law.
Yeah.
That's what we have looked at, and sir, as sir told, and the aim of FDPPI is to support the small businesses. I think definitely industry going to benefit a lot out of a PDPSI.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Rajesh.
Yes, I think what Navi sir said very correctly. It has to be acknowledged and accepted by many in the industries and the corporate also, which can help us to move our compliance assurance and the business benefit to the next level. Thank you.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Nitin.
I agree with all. I think there's no second thought to it. But only thing that I just want to add is that when, for the organization's point of view, organizations have to build security into their fundamental business processes, and it's going to put them in a better position to deal with the rapidly changing threat landscape of cybercrime, and will enable them to adopt to the newer payment technologies more securely.
Great. Thank you very much. Great. Panish is there? Panish, sir?
Is there?
Yeah. Panish?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
agree with Mr. Navi's comments. For organization, the focus needs to be on simplification of the
Absolutely.
compliance requirements, so that more focus is on the implementation and the benefits can be demonstrated in the organization. And the second point is, as the industry bodies, we need to take more initiatives. These seminars are one. In addition to it, we need to take more initiatives to educate the key decision makers and stakeholders, be it at smart city level, so that they can understand the benefits of this unified compliance framework like PDPSI and how it can add value to their system. Okay.
Excellent, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Rajiv.
Yeah, Ramesh, for any standard to become successful, it should be realistic and it should be practical. Okay. So for any standard, so we need to see actually, that review of the standards, that we need to do it very continuously, because it is an ongoing activity. Then always we need to ensure that any standard, it is realistic and it is supporting the business. So if it is not realistic or if not practical to implement, or if not supporting the business, then people will take shortcuts.
True.
The moment people will take shortcuts, then it will defeat the very purpose of the standard itself.
Sure. Great. Thank you very much, Rajiv. Mr. Navi, sir, I would like to really thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm thankful to all the eminent panel members of my team. Thank you very much once again. And Mr. Navi, sir, your closing remarks. Thank you.
No, thank you for for presenting PDPSI and all the other members of the panel. As I told you, we are trying to place this thought before the community, just as in the next session, we'll be talking about data valuation. We are again placing that as a conceptual thought before the accounting community there. So we hope that there is a benefit which we have to pass on to the community, and this could provide that benefit. Okay.
Absolutely.
One of the advantages we have is that we can make changes if necessary. We are fleet-footed. We don't require 1 year to change a standard thing. If, for example, recently people are talking PDPSI and the personal data protection and data protection will be combined into one law. If they come, I have already told that we accept the challenge. We will come up with a DPSI and PDPSI combined together, Data Protection Standard of India and PDPSI. That possibility exists because we are a lean organization, private sector organization. And whereas other organizations will take another 1 year. It is like changing syllabus in a college. Some of you are aware, my cyber law college can change the syllabus tomorrow, but a university will take 1 year for getting it. So that way, I think we have something for the industry. Of course, basically, you say we are doing something which tomorrow, if we go and present it to the Data Protection Authority, he cannot say no. He can say that how big is your organization, etc., etc. That question he can ask. But when it comes to issues and say, this is the control which we are this thing, then he has to accept it. So that is the kind of thing we are doing, because it is the professionals who are developing this. It is not somebody else who is telling me. It's not the government which is telling me you should have this control. We have seen the problems at the lower end. So bottoms up approach, we are trying to generate this particular standard. So I think Ramesh has put it across well. And thank you for all of your inputs into that.
Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you. Have a nice day.